Well, I sent out about 8 of these environmental 881 locks, and several of you have called up or at least emailed wanting to know how to make a key. Now you know how to decode it, but let's talk about how to make a key since most of you are going to need one. I didn't have any keys. So this is what you're looking for, and it works very smoothly, but how do you make it? Well, it's pretty easy actually. All you're going to need is some 5/16 round stock, and for this I like to use brass. It's easy to get, pretty inexpensive, nice and soft, easily machined and filed. So here's what you're going to need to do. The first thing is you're going to file this into half, and what I mean by that is when you look into the keyway, this fits perfectly into the hole, this 5/16, but it won't go all the way in because it's a half moon. So you're going to need to remove half of the material from the first 9/10 of an inch. So do that first, and I'll do it along with you, and then we'll see if we can't come up with a key. Okay, the first thing we need to do, according to our drawing here, is remove half of the material, in other words, half of the round for 9/10 of an inch back. So I got this set for 9/10, and we simply put it on there and give ourselves a little mark. Okay, we don't want to go back past this, so we need to remove half of the material halfway down, and to do that we're simply going to use a file. So let's get started. Very easy, go slow, there's no reason to hurry, and this is going to take a while, so you don't have to watch, but this is what you do. Okay, we got it filed down. We're halfway down, so we removed half of, so we basically have a semicircle. And you just keep filing, and how do you know you've gone far enough? Well, you get your lock. And then you put your lock in. Once it slides into the keyway, and I think this one does, once it slides into the keyway and your lock rotates freely, well then you've gone far enough. Don't try to force it because we haven't cut the bits yet. That comes next. Easy. Okay, after we've removed half the round, now we need to start worrying about the bitting. So let's go ahead and loosen up the vise. We're going to rotate this 90 degrees because now basically we have a blank key. So what am I going to do now? Well, let's go ahead and, according to the drawing, if you go back to this part, the center of each of the bits is going to be 3/10 of an inch. So we're going to have to make 2 marks to show the centers. So how do we do that? Again, with the micrometer, I've got 0.2995, close enough, and I'm just going to make some marks. Okay, those are the 3 bits. Now what we need to do is figure out what angle each of those 3 needs to be cut. You probably remember this matrix from my video on how to pick the environmental 0881. So because we know we're working with a 101 lock or a 01 bitting, we simply go to 101, here's the key number that we want, and that's marked on the lock itself. And if you don't recall, these are marked, if you can make it out right, maybe I got the wrong angle. You can make it out stamped right on the very top. You got 01, and you simply put the 1 before that, so you got key number 101. And some of the older ones, in the very early days, they used to mark them on the side. This one is not marked like that, but it is marked as a 101, and that's the key that we want. So we go back to our matrix, and if we look at the 101, sorry we got a little grease on there, what we need on the bow, we need a 90-degree cut. The center bit is no cut whatsoever, and the very tip of the key is going to be cut to an angle of 45 degrees. So I've actually marked it, and I hope we can get it to focus. There we go. So this part is going to be near the bow. We're going to cut that at 90 degrees. This one will not get a cut, and the tip will get a 45-degree cut. So again, I'm going to loosen up the vise and rotate this vertically so we can see our angles. And the first one I'll get will be, I'll cut the tip first. So I'm going to go take my file, and I'm actually going to cut at an angle of 45 degrees. And I know that's a little bit hard to see from that angle, but if I put it over here, I'll be cutting at an angle like this. So I'll use my finger as a guide to make sure I don't go over that 0.3 inches. And I'll just start cutting very slowly until I get my 45-degree angle cut. So you don't have to watch me, you get the idea. I'll turn it on when I'm done. Okay, that looks pretty good. That looks almost like a 45-degree angle. Okay, move the camera back around. Now, if you recall, we have no cut on the center bit, but on the back one we need 90 degrees. So again, with the camera, man, how awkward is this, huh? Now I'm just going to cut across like this, again using my finger as a guide to prevent myself from going too far, and I'm going to cut 90 degrees. Maybe, here we go. And enough of that, I'll turn it on when I'm done. Okay, I got the 90-degree cut in the back. The front looks pretty good at 45 degrees. Now, before we go doing any fine-tuning, let's go ahead and check our work. And the way I'm going to do that, I'm going to back the camera up just a hair. Give me room to work. I'm going to remove the prototype key. I'm going to take our lock, and I'm going to try to insert the key just to make sure it works. And of course, oops, sorry, it does work perfectly. Locked. Turn it, we're unlocked. So we don't really need to do any fine tuning. This thing's working just fine. So now I'm going to put the key back into the vise, and I'm going to cut it off at the bow. And to do that, I'm just going to use a hacksaw. And I'll go 1/4 inch past the last cut because I'm going to need room to put a coin. And now we have our potential key. Nothing to it. Okay, next step, hold on. Okay, again, there's our key. All I've done is just rounded off the top to take some burrs off from cutting with a hacksaw. I'm going to insert it into the vise and just snug it up a little bit. Not going to crush it. And now I'm going to take a hacksaw and just cut dead center. And we need a place to put the coin so we can grab it with our finger. So again, we just need to put a little cut in here. If I can get it started. And we really don't need to go very deep at all. It's just going to hold the coin. Okay, hold on. Okay, I got the, I don't even know what this part of the key is called, guys. I'm sorry, but I call it a coin. And this is nothing but a brass key tag. And they cost about $1/4 each. And I've already gone ahead and stamped 101 in here since I want to know which key this is. And I'm going to put it in the top of it. And this is a pretty tight fit, so I'll just hold it like that. And I'm going to use a plastic mallet. I'm not going to use a metal one because a metal one will damage the brass. And I'm just going to tap it until it goes down inside of there. There we go. Let me get it centered a little bit better. And then I'm going to have to move the torch, I think, or I'm going to have to move the camera, so I'm going to start the torch up and get ready for the next step. Okay, fellas. Sorry to keep breaking the video, but I got to get some things together. I want the camera to be aligned as perfectly as I can. Anyway, this coin is in there. It is a very tight fit, but it could eventually work its way loose, and we don't want that. We want it to be permanent. So, again, I know you can't see this, but I've got a torch. Fire this baby up, and we're going to heat this up, and we're going to solder it in place. And now all we're going to do, we're going to loosen the vise. And we're simply going to quench it. Okay, let's give that a second and I'll get back after that's cooled off and I can retrieve it. Well, there we go. It looks pretty good, but the heating treatment discolored it a little bit, and I know I have German listeners, and perfection is the purpose of living, and so we're going to go ahead and polish it up just a little bit using a buffer. Okay, fellas, there we go. Move over here. A bit better light. I think you can make it out. Even by German standards, I think that's not so bad. And you know what? It works. Fellas, that's how you make a key for your Sargent and Greenleaf Environmental Model 0881 lock. Thanks for your time. Everybody stay safe and stay legal.